It's a Monday on an ICANN and in the afternoon. So appreciate you guys being here, showing the support. Um, this is a special blueprint event for us for multiple reasons, but first and foremost, it's in partnership with our ENS domains friend. So big shout out to them. Alex is here, Melly, James. We also have a panel of 3 registrars that are going through the process or have finished the process, and we are no more in conceptualization or concept. We are actually live. So we have Andrew here from Nicknames, Tom from Encirca, and then Ilias here from Ionas. So big shout out to them too. Uh, First off, we have Fred Shu, our CEO, co-founder, who's going to talk about the concept, the idea, why DomainFi, how are we using DomainFi and Doma protocol to bridge the Web 2 and the Web 3 gap? How are we bringing the two worlds together so that internet citizens can walk seamlessly between the two worlds? As you're seeing everything going on with tokenization of assets in real world, domains sits at the center of that. And that is what we are enabling so that we can do DeFi. So without any further ado, I would love to bring Fred on the stage. Thank you, Fred.
Thank you, sir. All right, welcome everybody. My name is Fred Shu, CEO and co-founder of D3. We are excited, just as Anand mentioned, to be talking about what we're doing finally. Feel like we've been like the traveling circus for the past 2 years. So as we unveil more and more, we'll get much more tangible discussion points that you guys can kind of take away as both registrars and also registrants too. And yeah, super excited about what the panel we will have today and about our partnership with ENS. So first of all, I'm going to talk a little bit about DomainFi. And what is DomainFi? So our motto at D3 is to basically allow users to easily own, trade, and obviously use the internet. I joke with the team at D3, I love domains. Domains are the easiest sell. They're the infrastructure that powers all humanity, governments throughout the world, and probably will be this way for the next 100 years. So how do we let end users participate in this, right? Whether you're in Web 2 or Web 3, we think there's a lot of ways, especially with technology these days. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about tokenization and what that means for these 364 million domain asset class. So domains to us are a $350 billion asset class. If you look at the asset value itself, right? We think this could easily turn into a multi-trillion-dollar asset class. And we think that with our approach, it will raise all boats. I'll talk about how and why. You guys know all about marquee domains, but one thing I like to flash up with a lot of folks in Web3 is one-liners like this. OpenAI, chat.com. A number of you probably saw this a couple of years ago when it came out. Very obvious, right? It's very obvious that there's value here in the pure land. And I'm going to give a little bit of Web3 educational for you folks too. There's this venture capital firm called Andreessen Horowitz, also known as A16Z. They put out a recent publication, right? Just to kind of give you guys some insight. There's about 716 million global crypto owners, right? There's about 181 million active wallet addresses, and there's about 40 to 70 million monthly active users in crypto. Now, there are projects that are in the tens of billions with even as little as a few 100,000 active users. So I wanted to highlight that. There's also these things called stablecoins. At least in the States, we have the administration talking about it, but we also have traditional finance firms like JP Morgan, like Fidelity, all getting into stablecoins. Stablecoins are going to turn into, and they have enabled and will enable more, multiple trillions of commerce globally. It's a thing, trust me, it's not going to go away. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about the internet. So being part of, I'm a middle kid, so I get to basically play in both worlds. So it's actually perfect that D3 and Doma plays in this kind of Web 2.5 arena. So I'll talk about the internet. The internet's great, right? We all know it, but when it comes to sort of buying, trading domains, especially on the secondary market, where you're talking about a .com or like a .ai, it's just painfully slow, right? It's opaque. There's very little liquidity, right? No offense to brokers, but it's still kind of old. At the same time, registrars, right, who we work with and we'll make some ongoing announcements about, margins compressing. It's hard to find growth, right? There's no easy access to Web3, and we're trying to solve that. At the same time, Web3 names, who's heard about alt-roots over the past few years? I will tell you, there's been like 5 wallet projects, right? 6.8 projects. And we, from the domain industry, we're like, how can that be? And this has been name collision from day one. So part of what we set out to do is to eliminate things like name collisions. That's also why we're very excited to work with projects like the DNS folks. So we have this best of both worlds, right, approach. On the left hand, you have this traditional asset class, works with 5 billion users. There's this great internet governance called ICANN. It's been around for decades. Trust me, it works. And on the other hand, you have Web3. You have Web3 in crypto. What does that all mean, right? What does DeFi mean? What does a wallet mean, right? We're here to educate and bridge that gap. There's things called DeFi liquidity. What that means, just more buyers, more people with wallets, more people willing to come back and buy or trade your domain or your portfolio of names, right? Identity. We've all seen identity. It's been core to this whole domain industry for decades. And it's been decentralized, which I know has been an over kind of played term. I think the best systems are actually somewhere in between, kind of part decentralized and part centralized. So we kind of come in the middle. We're trying to say this world, there can be a world where you just have more innovation, more liquidity without all the chaos and all the FUD. So that's why we're excited to continue to talk about DomainFi over here, right? You have these traditional domains. We have partners coming online. In fact, today, we're also making more announcements with more registrars coming on board. We think that this is going to be easily a multi-trillion-dollar asset class. On the right hand, you have too much stuff, people slinging around too much Bitcoin and Ethereum with not enough real stuff to park it in. Why not domains? Why not the internet land? It's always been this way. So our mission here today is to accelerate this whole concept of DomainFi, right? We're essentially building bridges, right? We're infrastructure builders. This is no different than me and my team who've done this for 20 or 30 years. And we also want to enable developers. So Doma is our chain. It's our blockchain. It's the first blockchain for the internet. For the internet's 364 and growing million domain names. And we're going to be just last few slides over here. We're going to be working and bring on millions of new customers to this industry, to the domain name industry. We're going to bring liquidity for domain investors. We're going to educate and kind of have people get real meaning out of what DeFi is supposed to be for this asset class. And of course, everything we're doing is DNS compliant. So today we're going to talk and we're going to see some exciting demos from Alex and James and team about this integration that I'm personally excited about. So I bought an ENS name several years ago. A year ago, it took me 9 steps to map my .com to my ENS wallet address. Today, you do it in 1 step. 1 step. So we talk about friction and removing it. We're actually trying to do that. We've done that today. Super excited about this. Today, we're also announcing a new registrar too, sav.com, with hundreds of thousands, or 100,000 customers worldwide and millions of domain names, also tokenizing on Doma. So it's not about us, it's about making registrars and the end users successful. One last one, I promise, we have so much stuff we're building, but we also are launching our liquid domain trading platform. So it's called Mizu. Mizu's the Japanese word for water. We think it's kind of cute. That for the first time in history, you're going to be able to trade token pairs based off of real domains like bigleague.coms, ultra premiums, even .ai names, even some of my own domain names. So for the first time, you'll be able to generate initial liquidity, graduated liquidity, and we will see over time what that really means. And everything I've been talking about so far will be DNS compliant, as I mentioned. So check out more news on Mizu. So with that, just want to end. Today we're going to talk about ENS, but we are trying to build this multi-trillion-dollar DomainFi economy. And then we think that at the end of the day, it's going to lift all boats. So let's build this together, starting with our partners at ENS. Thank you, everybody. Next I'll bring up James and Alex and team. Thank you all.